Welcome back to A Bite from the Money Sandwich, where we provide practical and easy to understand tips and ideas on how to manage your money better, so as to let you retire with comfort and on your own terms. From a survey commissioned by KIT, they found that 48% of parents avoid discussing money with their children. However, kids' attitudes and values towards money starts from their homes, which is why parents need to be more involved in their children's financial education. Today, I am joined by Yish Koh, who is the Managing Director of KIT, a new CommBank-backed money app for kids launched by X15 Ventures. KIT was developed to help young little grown-ups earn, save, spend and learn. Yish talks about the importance of teaching children the value of work and the value of money, and that it is never too early to start creating positive money mindsets. Well, welcome, Yish. It's wonderful to have you on our show.
Thanks so much, Mark. Lovely to be here.
Now, we're going to talk about KIT, this app and the website, but one of the things I always like to ask people who come on the show is, what made you go into this field or down this pathway?
I've had a little bit of an eclectic career history. So I studied chemical engineering as well as finance. But before I came into the world of digital and innovation, I actually spent a while in the not-profit sector. So I worked for early learning, disability services and not-profit health insurance. And my career has always been about the melding of something that has a really great social purpose, but something that's also really innovative and will transform. And so in my previous role as head of portfolio at X15, I was responsible for incubating new digital ideas. And one of them is a Gen Z deals and offers platform called Cheddar, for example. But I pitched the idea of KIT to an investment committee, and it was something that was really near and dear to my heart. So I put my hand up to say, I want to run this thing, and I want to create something that not only will be a really great experience, but will also make a really big impact on the financial capability of young Australians.
Brilliant. And I've actually gone through the whole website, and it's very well done. So congratulations to you and your team on putting that together. And I encourage anyone who's listening to actually go head over to it. So it's taykit.com.au.
That's right.
So the whole purpose is to help kids in learning about money. So do we actually have a problem?
We actually do have a problem. So some of the surveys that we've done recently, we've shown that 48% of parents are actively avoiding talking to their kids about money.
Wow.
And it's really interesting when you ask parents about, in that survey, who do you think is responsible for teaching kids about money? I think 61% of them said, actually, it's the school's job. Now, there's probably a bit of a misconception around what we mean by financial literacy and financial capability. If you haven't heard those terms, financial literacy is really where schools play. It's about the knowledge and understanding, what is compound interest and how do you calculate it? Right. But what's missing from the schools is, how do you make sure that you've got really positive money mindsets? How do you teach the value of work or, the value of money? Those kind of attitudes and values around it, that is where parents play a really strong role. So, the 48% of parents who are avoiding talking about money are really doing their kids a disservice.
Yeah, I think, and also from my experience, a lot of adults struggle with money. So I can understand them sort of saying, yep, no, it's my problem. It's the school's problem. But I think we do as a society, yes, we should teach it at school. And I think then for adults will have a better understanding and comprehension of money and the money principles. But I also think a lot of that must come from, I just don't want to teach my kids bad habits because I don't know myself what I should be doing. And, when you look at our own savings, I've got no money in the bank account. How am I then the responsible one to try and teach my children?
Yeah, it's really quite destructive, that sort of shame and guilt. But,
yes.
Avoiding the topic altogether is almost worse than trying to just be open about the situation. Nothing in life, no one is 100% at everything. And it's, particularly when you have money issues, it's, you don't want to worry your kids, and you don't. So that's why I think some people tend to hold back and say, if I'm bad and I don't say anything, then they won't inherit my bad habits. But, kids are very observant, and, they will sort of absorb what's going on in the family. So, it's much more important, rather than trying to say, don't do what I've done, but just be open. You can still be positive, and it all starts with actually yourself. So the parents, and if you look into your own mindset, if you've kind of given up and said, oh, this is all too hard and I can't do it, that is the attitude your kids are going to inherit. So if you look inside and think about, things might be hard, but what is one thing you can do to make yourself a little bit better? So even if that's just, I'm going to, we know the importance of saving. If it just means that, okay, I'm going to set myself a challenge to save a little bit more than I have been saving, instead of something really small and achievable, to build your own confidence. And, talk to your kid about that small thing that you are doing, because that then shows them that you've got a good mindset that will positively influence them and, get them in on the action as well.
Yeah, I think, and you were talking about financial capability, and I'm very much for that. And same thing with financial well-being. We need to get more positive when we get about talking about money. And we just, as you said, it's not that we have a negative view in a lot of it. We just don't talk about it. It's just, and we really should talk about it and have it and help provide a positive influence on our children. So going that, and you were saying you're doing the research, I'm sure you must have, if you're interviewing the children don't have filters. So I'm sure you've probably had some stories about actually children about their parents, or was they some of the type of questions you would ask?
It's really interesting. I have an anecdote where we asked kids what they thought their parents were like with money. And there was one 9-year-old we spoke to, and we videotaped him actually, and he used his hands and kind of said, oh yeah, my parents just spend money. It's just like, they're just shooting it out everywhere. The cash is going. And I went back to talk to their mother, and she was horrified, because she said, actually, no, we have a budget. We went to the Royal Easter Show and we said, I agreed with my husband, there'd be one bag and that would be it. But the fact that they didn't actually talk to the kid about it, he just kind of had a great time. He was like, woohoo, I'm just buying whatever I want, didn't realize. So, this is where you there's an opportunity missed. And that actually was a real wake-up call. When she heard her son say that, she was like, oh my gosh, he's actually taking a totally different lesson out of this than what I'd intended.
It's incredible, because the parents are doing the right thing, but they're just not talking to their children.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a great anecdote. Your research must have gone into about how many children now on games, on gaming, in the digital world. So what's your view or your findings in that area?
So I think it's like something like 96% of children are gaming online. Wow. And the research showed that pretty much 7 out of 10 parents are concerned about the influence that online games are having on their kids' money behaviour.
Can I ask this, how young is that though?
So we asked about kids from 8 to 17.
Wow, 8. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that is quite concerning about these online games is that they are very different from, I'm a millennial, for example. And so when I was growing up and you talk about games, it was you buy a console, like a Nintendo, and you buy a game and then you play it. And, once you've kind of spent the money to buy the game, then, that's it, you're playing a game. But the way that online games work today is that kids are able to spend money in the game. And so to make progress, they need to spend money. And they're bombarded with these sort of tricky marketing tactics like, loot boxes, which hook into that part of the brain, the same as slot machines do. That sort of, if I pull the thing, I might get something more next time. So kids are actually being encouraged to buy these kinds of things, to say, in this loot box, I might get, this amazing skin or outfit for my character, and so that's why I need to kind of keep buying them to the one time out of 10 I might get something that's really valuable, and that's something that is a completely different world from our parents. And so one of the things I always encourage parents to do is that actually spend time with your kids and get to understand the games that they're playing and what kind of things they're actually seeing that are encouraging them to spend money, and make sure to lock everything down on the request to pay, and make sure, because it's very, very common in the parents that we've spoken to that there'll suddenly be a credit card bill for $300 and the parents didn't know where that came from, and that's because they were clicking things in a game and spending money without realizing.
Okay, so just on a practical point of view, how are the children getting access to the credit card or savings account to be able to do that?
Well, it's because when you buy an app, if you're linked to like Apple or Google, there's a linked credit card. So, parents will have an account, and whenever you want to download or pay for an app, it's just linked. So the kids don't actually need to get the details, but if they are using the same account, if you don't have the settings locked down, they can be spending money on that card.
Really, really good advice. I did not know that. So yeah, I've learned something now. Okay, so I also see probably, and you're just mentioning about millennials, the online gambling apps. So, this is, if you start at that age from 8 onwards and they're already into gaming, you could just see how this natural progression and how they could really struggle later in life.
Absolutely. And the fact that, when you're saying that it's online and the actual purchase itself is almost invisible because you're just clicking. And so you're not necessarily making that link, like you might have had to in the past hand over physical cash, and that, your money's going down. Whereas now with all these online games, it's very easy to kind of click and then not realize until much later on if you're checking a statement and seeing how much money is left.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so first of all, you just said that because I think it's a really good point. Parents should be aware and discuss with their children about what they might be doing online with gaming. And secondly, obviously go to the settings and make sure that that's switched off so that they can't access the Apple account.
I think it's also important to talk about the sort of sneaky tactics and marketing, which, is even more pervasive in that digital world. So, what you'll often see in some kind of games is, we've got a 24-hour flash sale. And so, sometimes kids might get stressed because they'll say, well, I've only got another 12 hours and I need to buy this now, otherwise I'll have to pay more money. But realizing that actually that's a tactic from the company who made the game to try and make more money out of you. So being able to sort of talk to your kids about that is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were saying about, and it all comes down to parents do need to talk to their children and make money a positive. How does the KIT website help if that? Because parents really wouldn't know where to start in a lot of cases.
Absolutely. So there's 2 things that I think the KIT app helps with. So firstly, when we talk about building financial capability, we spoke about sort of literacy is one piece, experience and getting hands-on experience. So kids being able to make, in a controlled way, their own decisions and getting exposed to money situations. And then that sort of financial socialization piece of talking with parents. So where KIT helps is we give kids money experience. So in the app, they get their own account. They can earn pocket money, so learning the value of work by completing chores. And so we have the ability for parents to set different chores and say, if you do these things, then you'll earn this money this week or in a fortnight. And then with that money, the kids can then create savings goals, put their money in, see that money grow to achieve those goals. They can then spend on a general purpose reloadable card. So parents can put spend limits on that card and they get real-time notifications so they know what their kids are spending on, because that's also another good prompt for conversations if there's a visit to McDonald's happening after school every day and what the impact of that might be. But really this is all about, instead of not giving your kid that money experience or waiting until they kind of get their first job and then, they're off, or getting a credit card. What you really want to do is give them a contained world where they can actually make their own decisions and learn the consequences themselves. It's much better that they make a $20 mistake than a $2,000 mistake down the track. So that is what the KIT app helps do. The other bit that the KIT app does, the character, the black thing, the little black ball, a bouncy ball that we have, also surfaces up just in time, sort of bite-sized pieces of financial education. So, for example, the kids that use KIT, for pretty much all of them, it's their first time ever getting a card. And so when they first activate their card, KIT will pop up and have a little prompt that says, hey, congratulations, you just activated this card. Do you want to know about, how it all works? First thing you need to know is there isn't an unlimited supply of money on it. What a shame. And then kind of talks them through how that works. So when certain things happen in the app, KIT will actually teach them about how that works. So for example, if they haven't set a savings goal for a certain period of time, KIT might come up and say, hey, do you want to learn about why it might be important to save? And little tips on how to get the most out of it. So we work with some behavioral scientists around, one of the key skills that kids need to learn is, planning for the future. So setting a goal and sticking to it and, achieving your savings goal. And there are some behavioral tricks that you can do to make it more likely they'll be successful. So we've built that into Kit. So for example, when the kid is sort of partway to the goal, Kit will prompt up to say, hey, do you want to know how you could stay even more committed to your goal? And one of those tricks is visualize your goal. So if you know what you're saving for, you spend 5 seconds in your head and you imagine what the world is going to be like when you've got that thing that you really want, and that really helps you stay committed to it. Another tip that we've got is around, telling people about it. So if you're saving for something, make sure you tell all your friends about it, tell your relatives, your grandparents, your parents, and they'll ask you about it. And that's another way to keep yourself motivated.
That's wonderful about this app, and I'm really wishing you all the best because I just so needed. How old would the sort of perfect demographic of children be, or age group for the children?
So Kit's open to school age kids. We think it's the best sort of time to use it will be sort of from primary school up to the age of around 13, 14.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And interesting. Also, I read on your research that. And I wasn't always quite sure, but your research is saying that children are interested in learning about money.
Yes, they are, particularly because it's something that's sort of kids love to feel like they're more adult, and they really want that sense of autonomy. And I think that's what it's really linked to. They just want to feel like they can understand the adult world. So some of the areas that the survey we did show that kids are interested in are, firstly, unsurprisingly, earning money. So how to earn pocket money, how to earn money. That was sort of 58% of kids. The importance of saving was another topic. But quite interestingly, 29% of kids said that they were interested about how to earn money as a social media or gaming influencer.
Oh, okay. Wow.
You can see there's the impact of social media.
Social media is there everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and I also see that, because you keep saying, oh, they're too young to learn about money. I remember I was just talking to some friends, and I remember, as a 5 and 6 year old, my first, I suppose, envy of money. It was, went camping with my parents, and we're in a 2-man tent, and I looked across the camping ground, and there was someone who was in a caravan. And I thought, wow, one day I want to be that rich. So I remember distinctly that caravan to this date as a 6-year-old, and realizing there was envy about wanting more or wanting to have money or whatever that was to have that caravan. So I shouldn't presume kids won't learn about or want to learn about money from an early age.
No, I mean, recognition of coins and notes is one of the very first things that kids, at the age of 3 and 4 are starting to do. And so in this digital world, it gets a bit harder because you don't see money anymore, and you just see sort of little tap things.
That's
and
right.
one of the very first lessons kids need to learn is that if you go to an ATM and money comes out, it's actually linked to money you have. You don't just, go to an ATM and get an unlimited amount and just buy more stuff. So
Absolutely. Now, if you're going to the app, you were saying before that it's in beta phase, but it's very close to launching. So tell us a bit about when it will launch and how people can actually link on.
So if you have an iPhone or an iPad, so on the Apple system, you can access the app already by going to our website and signing up. We're still in beta phase, which means they're still taking customer feedback. We're iterating and learning from what customers want to improve our features. We're building an Android version, so if you have a Samsung or Google phone, and we're hoping to launch publicly by the end of the year, so December.
Okay, excellent. So only a few months away, even for the Android. So I've helped my adult children with some of the new online apps that are out there. But this is different to like a Spriggy or a Spaceship or some of the other savings types apps that are out there.
Yeah, I think where it is, there's sort of two things that were really important to us when we've designed this app. The first thing is that, young people want to feel empowered, and they want to feel like they've got that level of autonomy. So we've designed the app in such a way that it's highly customizable, so that it's really an app for young people to use.
Right.
And so when you see the kid character and the tone of voice and telling them stories and the bite-sized financial education that they get, it's all to help the young person, and it's made for them. The second piece is around sort of the financial capability and sort of the evidence base around this. So we've worked with EY to create this financial capability framework for young people, which didn't really exist before, but we've used that to then inform, what is it that kids at certain ages should be learning about, what should they know about, and use that to help the design of our app, just like some of the behavioural science principles that I spoke before about achieving your goals. So for us, we are measuring our impact on financial capability, and during the speeder phase, we're using surveys with our users as well as in-app data to actually show what is the impact that we're having. Are we actually improving the financial capability of kids, and what is it in the app that is helping them with that? And that's our kind of guiding star on how we'll continue to develop the app.
Yeah, and I saw that, and as I said, just doing some research on your website, the actual size of the team and the input you've had from behavioural scientists and experts in their field, it's incredibly comprehensive. So I do encourage anyone to check out your website. One of the things I also wanted to sort of look at was, because you talked before about, say, for example, pocket money. And you don't just give pocket money, you actually get them, you put that to a task so that children actually learn, if I do some work, I will get rewarded for that. What some of the things from your experience and your research, what's some of the other tips you would sort of say that really resonated with children to sort of actually help them learn about money?
So the first one would be when we talk about the importance of talking about money. Some people are kind of like, I don't know where to start. And there's probably a misconception that talking about money needs to be this serious thing where we sit down and have a talk, but it actually doesn't need to be that, because kids are exposed to everyday situations of where money's involved all the time. So, whether you're in a supermarket, it's like, how are you making that decision between, the 3-pack of something versus the 1-pack of something? Or if you're ordering out for dinner, and what would be the difference if you cooked at home for a week instead of eating out? One of the things that you can actually do is start to then involve children in that and try to create what I call these win-win situations, particularly if you've got sort of teenagers, get your electricity bill. Everyone knows that the price of energy is going up, and just say, hey, have a look online and see if you can save me some money on my bill. I'll split the difference with you. So there you go. You've saved yourself some time. They get some money, and they also get to learn about electricity bills and how to read it. So try and find those situations where there's something in it for everyone. Yeah,
no, I think that's excellent. I'd probably, there's a stack of questions I really could ask, but I also realise I'm limited in time. So I'd probably just a quick summary. Is there a sort of like a final piece? Like, yes, I do recommend anyone with a young family to look at your website and try this new app, because it's just so important to get children with really good saving habits. Is there a sort of, I will ask, what's your best piece of advice you heard, because I've asked that from all my clients, but is there a sort of a summary that you'd like to say about to encourage anyone to come and see this new app?
Yeah, so, what my personal mission behind this is that, I want this app to be transforming the financial capability of as many young Australians as possible. And I know that parents are busy, and it's almost, it's, as a parent, you're juggling not just your kids, but work. And I think your money savvy generation, it's sort of parents that are getting older, and it's really hard. But, it's one of those things that money is not the be all and end all of life. It's a tool to get you to where you want to be. And that is the thing as parents that really drives us. We want our kids to be successful. So, we've put a lot of thought around how do we make this really kid-focused, but as easy as possible for parents to get involved and really improve the financial capability of their kids.
Oh, no, that's brilliant. And I do think it's absolutely right. We're, as parents, we're so focused on what you're studying to be what your career, and yet when you actually are in there at the work, it's actually what your money's doing in the background is what's actually also very important for you to reach financial independence, financial freedom, as well as enjoy your career. Okay, so one thing I like to ask all my guests is, what's the best piece of advice you heard growing up, or from anyone, really?
So the best piece of advice I heard, and it's sort of money related, but also related to other things, is no one thinks about you more than you do yourself. And really that's about, often, especially when you're younger, you're worried about what other people are thinking of you, and you're listening to what other people tell you should do. You should buy this nice thing, or, because it's going to make you feel awesome. But the only way that you can really make yourself feel happy is to really understand what makes you happy. So don't worry about what other people think, because, we always worry more than other people would about how we're perceived.
Yes, that's in this world of social media. That's a great piece of advice. Thank you for being on our show, and best of luck with the app. And we'll look forward to seeing its progression over the next period of time.
Thank you so much, Marc. Lovely to chat to you.
Okay, bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to know more about Yish Koh and the Kit app, visit heykit.com.au. That's heykit.com.au. Also, feel free to either email me on admin@themoneysandwich.com or visit our website, themoneysandwich.com, if you have any questions or want to learn more. Enjoyed this episode and want to hear more of A Bite from the Money Sandwich? Make sure you subscribe on your platform of choice so you can automatically receive each episode as soon as it's released. As with every podcast, this information is not advice, as not personalised to your own situation. And past performance is never guaranteed for the future. What we are trying to do here is to provide tips, coaching and education to help improve your money knowledge, which we believe can only be a good thing. See you next time when we take another bite from the Money Sandwich.